this or no?
No, no, I'll do mine over here. Okay. Two stations.
Okay. How was the breakfast after I left?
Station base for nearby. By screen plus screen. Okay. But I don't know. Because I was not facing them, but there were more coming.
Yeah.
There were not more coming, but actually I think they were quite okay for being so many, because there were. I mean, it was
could be crazy.
Yeah, they were not. Also, they were not so yet, because they were teenagers. Yeah, they were teenagers. So I think they were more. Yeah, they were quite.
Yeah.
They were quite. I mean, I also have the noise cancelling. But they were not, like laughing, or like something.
Could be.
Trains.
It could go crazy.
Yeah. Did you? This is food.
This is the whole thing you brought from there. Or what?
Different things, like also from home, like from.
Yeah.
So that's food. That's the amount of information that my brain can carry. It's like, this is food, and I should not be carrying. I'm just carrying a lot of things I should not be carrying. But then I know if I need it, it's there.
Yeah.
And this is personal stuff. And what did you do in between? Like
after that?
Yes.
I went for walking, same place again, but I took different route. I filmed a little bit more. And then I watched the video.
Yeah. I did not finish. I think it was like 10 minutes I did not watch. I finished until the artificial intelligence.
Okay. Actually, because I was at one point, I noticed I should do annotation. So, like, the timestamp. So that I can put it on YouTube. So I have the notes, I haven't put it on YouTube, so I'll do it now while we're talking. But I think it was interesting. It's interesting to watch, actually.
So, you want to maybe share your notes first?
Sure.
So we do that.
So...
I light, but you want to light, right?
Yes. The problem is, I don't know how to start. There's a lot of things everywhere. All over. It should be time tag now, but it's not showing up on YouTube. Oh yeah, now it's fine. Yeah.
Is that fine?
I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna worry too much. Actually, I liked the view in the backstage. Well, now we're here, but the way it looks with the posters and the red couch, I think it's kind of nice. But yeah, we're here now. That's awesome. This, I'm just gonna stick it in my phone. So I will be going a bit everywhere. But so the first thing I wanted to know was it a misunderstanding, or you just forgot, or you did it intentionally? But the idea I had about the stage was that there are two columns here, right? Mm-hmm. So that the line between the I mean, going through the columns.
Yeah.
That's like the edge of the stage that I was thinking, and I thought that will be like invisible wall.
Yeah, that we agree on that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I forgot it, and then you make it clear that you forgot it.
I put the text.
Yeah, you make it clear, and I forgot it again.
But I noticed that it's also because your the console is on the close to the pillar and then a column, and also you had the computer right next to the column, so it's about affordance, right? Like because there's space, you could just go through and just like use the computer.
Yeah. So no, I think like for me. Yeah. Okay. Something else?
So yeah, that's just a remark, and also like I started to see like the way we do it is like not just showing this to the audience, but we're also like watching each other in a way. Like at one point I was consciously like stepping out of the stage, like especially when you had your website, the text to speech, and you were also dancing with the text, and I was like, okay, it's like you're solo.
Solo, kind of.
Yeah, and I was like being in the audience in a way, and I found it's interesting. I mean, we could explore a bit more, like to have like Q that does horn solo, now the solo. That could be an option we could try or not. They're also kind of like.
So what did you say before? You said like that you saw that we are kind of watching. How did you frame it? That we are watching.
So that's kind of like a separate thing, maybe. That I see it like normally you have the stage and audience, right? But the way I start to see is like the stage is actually like stage and audience. In a way,
the stage it comes with the audience,
but not the audience like watching, but sometimes me being the audience.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So people are watching that I'm watching you, for example.
So I thought,
vice versa.
I don't know if it could be in the same regard, but I guess part of my notes was that maybe we can try today this exercise of in and out. Just sometimes when basically you want my attention. Or I want your attention, we can set in, and
yeah, maybe, but we can talk later about what we do. But that's like
this is
possibility.
This is in that direction because you speak about attention, and so and that exercise is in that like there's an audience and then you have the performer.
Yeah. But also like about the practice today, I wanted to check in about it because. I don't know if I have energy for the full practice.
Okay.
Yeah, just that.
Because I was thinking more like actually tomorrow to not do it something.
I see.
I was thinking more like tomorrow not doing it.
Because I think this is like more logistical thing, so we can talk later. But like the PR thing,
like to make it work for the PR.
It doesn't have to happen, like it's just like a short thing that because
we show something.
We already have footage. So
like the problem that I have is like I think tomorrow I would like to have more. I was thinking since it's holiday, I think we might not be able to be here. That's my understanding.
That we have to talk with them, but
I was thinking already like tomorrow to have like as a Sunday work.
The day off.
Because it's Sunday anyway.
It's not a Sunday.
I mean it's a holiday. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean it depends, like if it's better, if it's for us to be like, if it's quiet and just focus on work, but also I know that there are activities happening outside, but we can talk about it later, how we do it. But we need day off, like, or half day off, today or tomorrow. I think it would make sense before having the crunch time.
Yeah. So,
there are like a lot of small things that I found interesting, like for example like the clothes, like we didn't set it up in the space but it's still visible, it's just
the
on
clothes.
the side, that is just something, like we wouldn't touch it because that's kind of the agreement, quote unquote, that we didn't set it up, so we don't use it. But what if also, at one point we change the stage, for example? That could be something we could think about. Because right now the stage is a little bit static. And yeah, I found it funny how I talk with the kind of robotic, monotonous way I was talking, and also the way I was standing was kind of funny. And yeah, like this is just like, it's not really important, but when you said like something like actually funny, like you said something and then like you said like this is like actually funny. And then I was like wondering, like there was like a silence after that, and I was like really like wondering if I should like burst into laugh or just keep quiet. And I was like almost like going to like laugh like crazy, but I didn't do it.
Interesting.
Just that's just my intention that I had, like or like thoughts I had. Yeah, like lights we have to think, because sometimes like I was like really dancing and actually it's not really visible from the audience, but that's something like good and bad, right? But we have to know what we want. But on the other hand, even like there's no light, even if there's no lights, if I'm moving in front of the camera, you can see it, the projection, which is also interesting. And maybe this is the last comment, like kind of important comment, is that I was like, untying my shoelace completely. I don't know if you noticed, but I took it like out of my shoe and I put it on again at one point.
Okay.
And this I liked from my perspective, that this is some kind of action that I can just focus and do it for like a couple of minutes without thinking about what's the consequence or not, because then I'm just doing this for now. Because I'm moving, like I constantly have to think about, okay, what's coming next, like for example dancing. But then if I'm doing this action, then I know that this is just like continuing for some time. Like I really took it out. That takes time. So there could be like some other actions, like can be like folding paper or like some kind of drawing. I don't know, something that actually we know that it takes like a few minutes to do. That might be helpful to kind of reset, or like kind of, because always our mind is so busy. For me, at least, it helps to kind of have this moment of doing something.
I think that the problem that I will have, for instance, because I didn't notice when you were doing that. So like I think from a more like I think it could be more problematic. I mean, how to make it visible, like for instance, that could be something that can happen, or it could be folding paper. But then it must be, I think it's about, okay, I just said this and then I try to let you finish and then I jump
No,
to
I'm done with that.
Yeah?
So.
Okay, so then I think it's the amount of information. So that's a concrete action. That's what I will say, that's a shape. It has a shape, like you have an action that you're doing. And it's totally fine if there is a focus on the action. So it means that the intention is on the action, because otherwise
Focus, you mean for the audience?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because otherwise it gets lost. Like, because even in the video I didn't notice what you were doing. So if you're not sharing that with the audience, it's like you're taking is like, it seems like it's too private.
I was thinking actually the opposite, because it doesn't have to be noticed, but I'm present as a body there.
But then the problem that we have still is that I agree with you, but I still think from the outside then there's too much going on. Like the lights, the sound, then the stage. There is so many things. Small. That's what I meant with information in the system. There are many visible attractors. So I think a concrete action like this, I think is a good example, because it demands attention. For instance, what I will say
But
is
you
that
said you didn't notice that.
I didn't notice, no.
So that's like what I mean, I didn't really mean that way, but it could be something that I can really take the attention, or something that, I was just sitting and doing this, which doesn't take the attention.
But so, what is the intention that you want? Because maybe I'm misunderstanding this. What is that you're saying that? Why you find that action interesting? I think I didn't understand.
I mean, it's more from my point of view to, like, stay still for a couple minutes, for example. That is, instead of like just me, like I was also like standing still like sometimes, but this actually takes a lot of like,
I see.
Mental load for me, because then I'm aware of everything, and but if I'm doing something and if I'm not noticed, just as a body,
then it works.
Then it's nice also that something is happening in parallel, but it's not like two people running around.
It's like kind of like this what you were saying, like foreground.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it now. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It didn't really clash, like it didn't really happen that both of us were like doing completely different thing that takes a lot of attention. I think always like we're kind of like giving the stage to another most of the time, I think.
Right. Did I put this here? On the mirror screen middle of the... Okay, like this. Text. Okay. I think that's from yesterday. Yes. Okay. So shapes. Right there are elements. Moving for affordance. Also for the elements after. What do I mean with this? Okay. No, this is. Position of that affordance is more a space between chain actions. Okay. What do you mean? What you said? Like you can share something with me. Like it was not clear to me what if you were asking for help, or it was something concrete. What was it? I didn't get. What was it?
Oh, I mean, yeah. So because I thought we agreed with that.
You need to ask for help.
Phrase, and when you ask for help, you have to say that. I would like to share something with you.
Yeah.
And you were asking my help sometimes
Yeah.
without saying that. So I was just following the rule.
Oh, okay.
I mean, of course, if it's in real life, I would say like, okay, what do you need? But if it's because we're in a performative state, I was like, okay.
Oh, so you were mentioning. So I was asking for your help, but
without
I didn't.
saying
The
that.
rule. Okay.
Yeah,
Now I get
so
it.
I said, just to use that phrase, but from like, so I said, instead of I would like to share something with you, you can share something with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
But I think this miscommunication is.
I think also like part of the score was like we said like did you ask me for help? That was. Did you ask for? That was part of the score that I thought we agreed.
Very first.
And did I help you?
Yeah, you brought me the remote.
Okay, cool.
That was at the very first.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so funny because you handed it to me, and I didn't take it, and I asked you to operate.
To do it. I now remember. Yeah, true. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm happy. Elements, actions. Okay. So I think I will go back and forth on this, I guess. Elements and element actions can be longer or repeated in different moments. In general, avoid introduction of new elements. In general, avoid the introduction of new elements. Consider the space before introducing new action element. So I guess here somehow, let me go to everything fast. Brittany, don't know, this interesting position. Sound rule and observations with this alarm hold. Yeah, hold. Remember the state of the system. Normalize on workshop announcement. This one should be okay. This is second mention of that. When time runs out, go back to the previous state. Normalize off and go back to state. Text concrete when I'm telling a story. Okay, I think in general I think to avoid the introduction of new elements, consider the space before introducing new action elements. So I think my suggestion how to approach this somehow is like I start doing somehow like here, like putting what I think are kind of things. So you can also put some here. So that we can actually use one of these chat boards. We put elements. And so for instance, it could be your shoe also, you know. And we stick somehow to those, and somehow we try to not introduce new elements as much as we can. Yeah. So, like ideally, I think in time, what I would like is the way how I approached it in Dortmund was say like I have 10 notes, like I have 9 at the beginning, right? So then, and I like them, like I have personal attachment to some, other ones not. Like I've been in conversation with you, sometimes even I didn't find interesting things, but I thought, okay, then in conversation with you, I thought, at the end from the 9 things, I end up with just 3. So I think we should also aim for something like this. Especially, it will be more challenging because of the time frame that we have right now. But also it will help because then we know what's going on, basically. We know that there is not just anything. For instance, like the lemon, that was something that when I was in the stage and actually in the video also, it's really funny, like what the fuck? I mean, after I screaming, you throw out the lemon. Why is this happening? But then, like also at the same time when I was reflecting, it's still like this is kind of like out of the bloom. But if we define it as we did part of, yesterday in the conversation, eating, we said like that was part of one of the things. So for instance, that could be something like, you know, like that's, then I know, for instance, you know, like then it gives me this like, it's part of an agreement, it's part of the rules. So I think we should spend some time in kind of like brainstorming on this, and as much as we can, because that's entropy, basically. You can't avoid entropy. Like, we cannot avoid that at some point you think there is something interesting and you will just put it. You know, like as much as we can, we should not try to put new elements, but you know, like that's how entropy works, and it's just like, let's put a new stuff. You cannot control that thing. It will keep on expanding somehow.
I mean, if you talk about entropy, it's more like it's already there, because we can't have something from outside. It's just there, but it's on the side of the stage, so it will just, you know, flood into the stage and just goes chaotic.
It will be more.
That's the way I see it. Yeah, it's not about bringing in, but it's just already here. That is like, you know, we can't keep it tidy, and it just goes like messy and messy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what I put in my notes. Like the fight against the entropy, like is, for instance, like I would like to start like today, like to put the sound down, like to take maybe the one table out, like to start, you know.
That's interesting because I was thinking like from what we did yesterday, what I watched, like I felt like we need more things.
Oh, like you mean? Wow. Yes. How? I mean, more things.
In terms of, like elements. I get your point.
I think I have a problem with that. Because I don't understand what's going on.
But
I mean, no, why? That's not the problem. I think but that's my perception from the outside, and that's my perception. Trying to do an exercise from the outside is like what we do stays very much between you and me talking. So it's like very much it doesn't allow too much. The less things they are, for instance, one of the, okay, let me go to my notes. Stick to the shapes, prefer predefining elements, what are the more space between changing actions. It's just, in general, I think less information, it gives more time to the people to adjust. So, for instance, I think one of the ideas could be element actions can be longer or repeated in different moments. That could be something that I think that can work, because and that comes through design, no? Like, it's just in design practice, you repeat something, and then the people just understand. Even if it's an abstraction, the people kind of like get it. So I think in this idea of helping the audience repeating things, instead of introducing new things, it will help somehow for the audience, maybe not to understand, but to feel less overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, well, first thing is, I think it was interesting that we did this structure, like the same structure as the one before, that, you know, we played the song at first and at the end. So it's kind of like a repetition that gives, you know, like a clue for the audience to, you know, oh yeah, this song again. But I think we're talking about different things. The way I see it, you know, like adding more things is more about, I think it's just more about the stage, that it feels like empty. It's not about like, yeah, it's not about adding elements actually. Like, I think I agree that we should stick to like certain elements, and still we will, you know, like
because it will happen naturally.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
That's
but I think I'm just thinking more about aesthetics. That I just don't like, you know, like black.
Yeah.
Solid.
No, I agree with you.
So that's just that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to load space with more things, but not necessarily using that as an element. And I think it's good the way we set up the day before yesterday and yesterday, that, for example, clothes-wise, like, we put only, you know, like a few of them, or we change the trouser.
I think it has to be, I mean, of course, like, the way who I'm approaching this, which I think is interesting, is like, your reflections, like, tend to be, like, somehow it's more conceptual than mine. Like, I'm interested right now in trying to put it, I guess, through my understanding on cybernetics and information, the amount of information that that channel can take. So, for instance, when I think on, I was saying that because I forgot, what did you say before I spoke?
What the space, or what's the clothes?
The clothes, the unit and information, yeah, unit. So, but maybe if I have one something of this, practice, not laugh, stick to the shapes, position, no space between. Now to be best, accomplish, cold, normal, lights. Awareness on. General awareness of the state of the system. So what I mean is this, like, so if I think on like if I understand the performance at certain moment as a system being in one state, say it like, bring me. There's one state of different elements in the system at certain moment in a state. There is an abstraction. That's what we were speaking of yesterday. Is like, it would be very difficult to put it into one word because it's just an abstraction. In that specific case that I'm trying to put in the way how I'm approaching is like, the system is defined by the stage, and then there is the music, then there are actors, there's some light. There are different agents that they are interacting and affecting each other. There should be some kind of state. So this is happening in time, and if you take kind of like a screenshot in time, there should be a state on the system. What is the state of the system is what I refer, that's an abstraction. So trying to put a word on that is very personal because it's really an abstraction. It's very complicated to try to put an abstraction on that. An example I think of this, I'm trying to go is like when I think I found interesting this idea of the workshop. So what we did at some point yesterday was, at some point, we stop what we were doing, and for 10 minutes we do, I call that a workshop, where we just work with artificial intelligence, right? Then, the way I see the state is like, for instance, in that moment, will be interesting. Actually, in dance, you use the same thing. Wait, how do we try to share this? Yeah, maybe. So if in dance, said like, so just in a movement, like then so maybe I'm doing this. And at some point, then I just take a picture. I stop time. Then I can just talk to you. And then the idea is that after I talk with you after a while, I should go back to the state and continue so that I come back to the state. So then in the idea of the workshop, I think could work. And will be very functional. For instance, there is an alarm, then working lights are on, and then maybe we can even use the scientist codes, and then for 10 minutes we give full attention to the people and trying to be together and use 2 stations with keyboards and some input for the people to use a website, for instance. So for 10 minutes we do a workshop. No matter what is happening, after the 10 minutes there should be another alarm. And also we change from this performative state that we build, and we are super nice and we just give all our attention in a kind of, we define how, but more in a more human way, like very one-to-one, caring for them. But at some point when there's like the alarm again, is absolutely, so lights out, and we go back to the previous state, and then we keep on going from there. So that's one idea that I thought that could be interesting to explore. And then another conversation is then we have to have the conversation about the workshop. That's a different conversation that we need to have. Like, what does that mean, right? Because then, but let me just try to hold that thing of the workshop.
Yeah, actually, something I didn't understand what yesterday was like. Was there like a duration for this like GPT-2 thingy, like AI part, or was because you said after 20 minutes we do it, right?
The score was at 6:20. From 6:20 till 6:30 we do artificial intelligence.
Okay.
That was the only thing that I could tell.
Yeah, because I was kind of forgetting that it's from 6:20 to 6:30. Like I know that it's 6:20. I was just like focusing on that like start of it, but I was not really like aware of like how we end that part, or are we ending that part?
I think that the easy for now is just we use an alarm and I keep the alarm.
But that's more about like what you response to what you said about the state, going back to the state, because I was not really aware of like
no, me neither.
How we go back.
No, me neither. This is part of my notes. I'm just thinking like this could work actually if we do it like this. That could be a very functional way to use artificial intelligence, like in the performance, to be very functional and easy to approach. And then, I mean, especially for now. And wait, because I still have some notes. If you can hold it, let me just go through. So, the laughing, like, I think, like, this is, but I don't know what to think about this, and we don't really have too much time to explore, so that. I think there's more like a personal choice that, you know, like, or, like, sometimes, like, when I have this kind of worries, I start using the stage, like, for instance, yesterday, when you throw the lemon, after I was screaming, and then I have all these kind of, like, things, like, going on inside of me, like, why are you doing this? Like, it's not good, it's not good, not good, not good, so I'm really fighting with myself.
After I threw.
No, just like the screaming, the whole screaming.
About your action.
Yeah, about, like, me, just being in that state. And then you throw the lemon, and it's just so funny because it's great. So then in that moment I just said that, I just put it out. Because it's a big conflict for me. Like, I don't know from a dramaturgic point of view, from things that I know, what I learn, is then, if I think, like, in the way how I learn in terms of dramaturgy, you don't comment things. For instance, like, that's from things that I learned. That's what I'm not saying is good or bad, and it's just a personal thing. We don't really have time to explore this. That's the way I'm exposing this, is just on the stage and just start commenting on these things that I cannot solve. But from things that I learned from dramaturgy is, like, kind of work if there is not too much commenting on what happens. For instance, at some point you said, like, you know, you were doing something, speaking in Japanese, and then you said to me, "Marica." If I start laughing at that moment, it just breaks the magic, because it becomes a personal thing between you and me, and it's not involving the audience. It becomes something that's just
an inside joke, yeah.
Exactly. So,
but that's why I did it, because I needed to break that. Like,
yeah,
somehow.
So anyway, this is something like that to consider, like the laughing or like the inside jokes.
Yeah.
The laughing is / inside joke. Can you take notes more, like, because I cannot put in the same side joke. Stick to the shapes, predefined elements. Yeah. So I think we need to. So I think we need to spend some time on defining elements, a pool of elements. I think we need to have some time to talk about the workshop. Naoto lemon, so now I got it, yeah. So that was part of the food. Movement affordance, position of the mic differently. This is, I guess, more personal. I guess in general it's more an invitation of the space of start thinking in affordance. For instance, I saw at some point, because I'm a bit taller than you, so if I put the mic higher when it's me, the affordance normally is like when you have to talk, you have to put it down, right? So, and like this, some things like that, like that we start getting more intelligent in terms of, like, what are the affordances of the movements in space. More space between changing action. That's something that I think we still can already. I think I mentioned that yesterday, but we could still get more conscious of give more space between actions are happening. So, for instance, like the good example of that, I mentioned it yesterday. It was when 2 days ago we start too soon to move when there was the catchy song. I thought, like, the catchy song could be there along a little bit more. Especially when there are things that they are attractors, you know, that you cannot deny. Say, like, as a music loud speak, you cannot avoid, or like the road lights, when there's something that we should get more. I know that it's complicated. I speak from my personal experience, is because I'm performing, so it's difficult for me to acknowledge kind of time, and so I think that I also, if I see the way how I move, I always think that I'm running out of time. So if I remember when I was watching the video the first time, when I was on the stage, and I was doing this movement.
You want to do it here?
Yeah. When I was on the stage and I was doing the first time when we put that first song, and I really liked that song. I really liked that song. So then, and I was doing this on the stage. On the stage, I thought it was silly, it was not well done. Like I often have this kind of fights with me on the stage. Then, when I saw the video, I thought it was very interesting. That I could really give the time for that. So I tried actually to do that, and that's why at the end I end up with hitting the microphone.
Yeah.
Because I give time for me to explore the thing. So I was thinking that this is in relation to on the stage when I start doing the action, it's just I thought I'm taking too much time. I need to do something interesting.
Oh,
So like this idea thing of time, but on the stage, especially changing between actions, we should really slow down. If I think it what I did in Dortmund, the fact that I have just 3 things to do, it really gives me a lot of space to change. And that for a conceptual point of view, like the invisible labor, like the space between changing is really important. Like I think it's really important how we get, because it's not too much about what the people get, but it's just a sensibility of how much, because you have to negotiate with yourself. Like, you know what? Even if I feel this is not interesting, or I look bad, so be. Like, just give some time. You know, you have to negotiate with yourself and your ego a lot in that moment. Yeah. And then kind of like, in general, in those moments, like acknowledge, that's what I mentioned when I started sharing the notes. In general, the invitation, I guess, is to acknowledge kind of like the state of the system, like what is happening before I change my. I think once you get into an action that's quite concrete. Once you get into something you're busy, it's totally fine. We can get in what we're doing. But when we are changing, I think it's really good to just before start moving, just to acknowledge what's going on and give some time to really, which is that was the invitation with the exercise of setting up.
Okay.
That invitation is like just to really take the time. So like not to, from outside of the space to come like, okay, now I know I need to do that, but the invitation normally is like to just embody it. Like embodied and understanding as like the role that the body takes in shaping cognition in that moment. So like that you embody it, okay, now I'm here, and then the body starts feeling in relation with your thoughts and your task and the work that you have to do. Yeah. So it's a lot of things that you have to handle. But at the end, it's just a negotiation with you, very much at the end.
Yeah. But this is like I found interesting, like about time. Like I watched, like 45 minutes of this, and I didn't feel it's like that. Like I mean, it's long. It's 45 minutes, but it's not. Let's say it's not boring.
No,
I can watch it.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing is like, because we are doing something and taking time, but still we are doing something on the stage. That's okay. But I feel, we didn't have that moment so much, so I can't really understand, or like I can't really make comment about it. But if, for example, I start coding, I start working with a computer, I don't know if it's that interesting to have this moment for like a few minutes, 10 minutes.
I think it's absolutely fine. I mean, the thing is that if, like, first, what I will, like, how I think about it is, like, you have to define that by so it's a negotiation of you with your ego, I think. I will say this first. And second, if you ask me, I think it's absolutely fine. Like, because then it's time that I think, then I think it's exactly that, maybe that's what my comment when you start speaking of the shoes. I think it's absolutely fine if the intention is that. Could be that then I think a way how we can solve the lies, for instance, and that was my invitation, and I want to push you a little bit in that direction to for instance, you can just say to me like if you want some light when you're dancing, for instance.
Yeah, but I didn't really notice on the stage.
But
That's
but that could be interesting, you know, like, and then just like this is just part of like we just getting more intelligent somehow. We are just communicating better. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's why we're also like seeing it from the camera point of view.
Yeah,
like this because this light thing I completely didn't know when I was on the stage.
Yeah, something that it was a pity is that from the outside perspective is like the thing of the sound. Like, you know, like the sound was off at some point, right?
Yeah.
And then my feeling was that it didn't really felt organic, like the thing. How to say this? Like it really looked like a mistake.
Yeah.
Like 2 days ago, I like it somehow. I guess I don't know. I was not. It felt forced. It felt like really. Wait, let me try to put it better. Like I didn't have the ambivalence of thinking like, did they forgot or not? I really thought like, no, they just forgot.
Yeah, because I think yes, like if there's like no song and we were just talking to the microphone and the microphone is off, I think it's okay because you can still hear it. And then like, okay, it's like, you know, like this is a mistake. But then like if there's a song and I'm trying to talk to the microphone or you're talking to the microphone, then, you know, you can't really hear it and it just gets irritating. And to me, that's how I saw it.
And that happened like that yesterday?
Yeah, because I was at one point like trying to like, but I think you went to turn on.
And then I put on the
sound, but some parts were like missing. And then that's kind of, like, that's more like intention, right? Because I have an intention to talk to people while the song is there, but the speakers are not, true. I mean, the gain is not enough.
Yeah, true.
That's not good. But then, you know, I think giving this feedback now, like about light, sound, we're getting better at, you know.
Yeah, and I think like that's why, like in the development time, that's what I thought would be interesting. And even we can, so maybe we can use in the performance.
Hello. Morning. Oh, it's actually not morning.
How's it going?
Good. Yeah.
Good. Oh, fine.
So, well, like, maybe we can close. Maybe.
Yeah.
And what we were saying that. Yeah. So, but the invitation of the exercise of development. You remember that I said like try to tell me what you want. You know, and some things I was mentioning two things that I guess are complicated for me to understand even. So it's difficult for me to even communicate them. One is unit. What is the unit? And the other one, and those are Bepal like are attached to this, through cybernetics. So what is the unit? And the other thing is the intention. So I was when I was there, sometimes I said like, okay, I want. So I remember I said at some point the unit is lights and sound. At some point I said that was my unit. So my intention was, I guess, to just set the light and sound. So I think, or the invitation of that exercise, I think could help us because it's just about communication in terms of what is the intention. So it helps to clarify. So it passes from, I don't know, to be honest, like in the long term, how will this affect our practice? Because I think still the practice is beautiful because we didn't really spoke of these things that we're doing now, and it's just very abstract. So in the long term, to be honest, I don't know if it will be good or bad, but I'm trying just to understand from a cybernetic point of view how that goes there. And if it's about communicating with other ones, then the much we can find strategies to make it more clear, I think is useful.
Yeah, this I need to think like how we approach this, but I think because there are like different layers about, let's say like just talk about unit, because so like really like bottom layer, like how I am, like I don't see units. Like I see things more like fluid. So I really have trouble, but that's talking about myself, right? I sometimes have trouble like defining, okay, what is the unit? Does this belong to me or does not belong to me? Does this belong to me or not? Like then I go really crazy about, but there's atoms, like they are separate. But that's my part. But then like if we go like higher up in the layer, we have this communication with the audience, right? So I'm just like saying, like for example, if we decide to take 3 elements, and whatever unit we decide about elements, that's completely fine with me. Like just like for example, if we do the performance with 3 elements that every 10 minutes we have this element, and just for example. And then if it's clearly defined, I think it's fine with me.
Wait, can you give me a second? I'm holding. So you're saying Naoto, it's communication Naoto. You said you have this. You were saying that you have this holistic view somehow.
Yeah, you can
Personal.
say it
This
that way.
has been a personal.
That's
way.
a personal thing.
Yeah, Naoto holistic. Holistic approach, view. Okay. Yes. Sorry. And
And then on the other side of the spectrum, where we think about communication with the audience, let's say we have 3 elements that we define the unit somehow. So this is the unit, or like this is the element that we use. 3 elements, then it's fine. Like I can see the border, the boundary, so that this is the element. I'm not going to touch this part, but I touch this element.
right.
That's completely fine, and I think it's clear with the audience. So now what I'm struggling here is what is the layers in between.
What do you mean?
So for example, we have the practice. Practice is, what we are practicing or rehearsing is not exactly what we're telling to the audience. We're still developing.
I think I'm not follow.
So we're not showing this to the audience yet. So that it's not,
No.
the way I see it is the rehearsals now doesn't have to be clear because it's still becoming. But then how much do we need to intervene to this process? Because what you're saying is the development part that is not shown to the audience, but still we're conditioning us to think about the units.
Right. Yeah.
And so this is also like kind of like something I'm struggling, like if I'm working for you and then I'm fine, okay, let's do it that way. But also we're working together, and then like how much I have to I want to intervene to your proposal of the units, because, and also like I know that something that I don't feel comfortable can be like something challenging to me, might be something I should try.
Right.
So, we should try, but also like I don't want to feel like bounded by this idea of units, because this is really. It's not just difficult, but sometimes it's really like limiting factor for me to do something. Like throwing lemon, for example. That was just random. If we decide, okay, this is not the element that we can't use. Yeah, I don't know. So this, I'm just like talking about like how I feel.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But
maybe like so for instance, if you remember, like I think we're doing it organically anyway, but my proposal was like that, like to approach it from like more practice based, like onto today, basically, just like like that. That's what I said. Like, let's not think, and just like in that sense, I would say then my approach would be the same, also similar, like in a practice, especially. Like it's very holistic. But then I thought, okay, from Wednesday, let's start getting into the structure thing. And then I thought, like by Saturday, Sunday, we should have somehow a structure, whatever that means, that we could just repeat, and then we both feel comfortable. And I think we like. It seems like naturally it's kind of like what we're doing.
But we're already structuring. I'm not saying criticizing, but we're
Like-
already going towards the structure.
Yes and
What
no.
is this approach?
But yes and no. Like I think, like, but it's more in an organic way. Like I think in an organic way, because I think by the needs. This comes from my like, what I think organically is coming on practicing what we're doing.
But in a way, like we have to intervene in the practice somehow from the outside point of view. I mean, from let's say if in the sandbox, we're kind of already dividing the sandbox somehow, right?
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
But that's like it's part of the process that we're doing. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So and that's like no, I completely understand. That's what I mentioned before I start going. Like is my and I try to say like because and in a personal level, like I guess actually I don't know like so wait how do I do like just to extend. I'm very interested, I guess, conceptually in understanding these things about cybernetics and units and information theory, so on, and different things in a really rational way, I guess. That's a personal thing that I do. But also, I can acknowledge. So that, for instance, that trying to understand something that it maybe doesn't have to be understood. You know what I'm saying? Like it may be like the nature of the practice is not to be understood. I'm interested in the long term in trying to understand and almost like make a theory on the practice, like in a way. You can think somehow like in an extreme way, something like that. That as part of part of myself wants to approach it through cybernetics and trying to and dynamic systems and trying to understand through that gate of complexity theory. That's one part of me. But other part of me also, which is more close to myself, like I just enjoy to practice. In between, I also find my future, meaning that I can see, for instance, that there are some things from the practice that are complicated to communicate from the outside, meaning that they are not easy to be sold or to be absorbed from people. So it's also for me thinking in my future, like this is so beautiful for me. So they give me so much joy to practice, and I have this willing to understand more about like information theory and these kind of things. So kind of these two things are right now are there.
But I feel like that's that's another like big topic to talk about. But the way I see it is that as long as we're in the sandbox, we can't talk about it, right?
As long we are in
there, we can't talk about it. We have to be the surgeon, or someone who's investigating. So it's not we're doing, but we have to step back and see it. And whatever theory you can use from science or philosophy or whatever, but that happens once you're stepping out of this practice.
And that's not the practice.
There's not a practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. Like the practice is only happening when we are practicing. When we are where we are not practicing, then you can do different things. One of those is, I guess, study or make a video or different things. But during the time that we're practicing, it's, as you said, is a practice. So it's it's like and I often see it with this analogy as in dance. Like that's why from the beginning I thought it was very beautiful, because like in dance, when you're dancing, but before and after is something else. It's not dancing, and that is the exercise maybe of a philosopher or a mathematician or whatever to do whatever exercise they want to do with the object. But in the moment of dancing, it's just dancing
Yeah.
with the potentiality of dancing. Like,
Yeah, I'm just saying this because, yeah, like it's not about what theory you want to take, but it's something that you have to get out of the practice.
So, but this like that's why like why I invite like the exercise that I brought into the space that was some kind of something in between, because then once we are in this space, you can see it as in the stage. That was a practice. The practice of what? Of maybe building the stage. You can call it like that. Of development. So that's a practice. It only happens while we are practicing. And also it's a practice that it tried to build my idea that we build on attention of each other. Like just giving you my full attention. So it's a gift that I'm giving you as an audience. And also it's like acknowledgement of you to me. So it's a very personal thing. Once I'm out, then we can talk. As Jorge or as Naoto, and take the space that you need.
Okay, I see now.
Until we are ready to go back in. And I thought in one of my notes that perhaps that could be also some approach that we can take in a practice like this. The fact that you said in is not negotiable. You know, like if I say to you, I would like to share something with you, it's in negotiation. That you can acknowledge me and help me or not. But if I'm saying in, even if I'm like, I mean, that's because that's very delicate. It's like something really private and unique. That is like, even if I'm here, I'm saying in, and you are busy with your shoes like there, you like like in the perfect world will be that you should be able to take care of me at that moment, and that I know that I can count with you in that moment, and also you said at that moment, I will be there for you, no matter if I'm really, no matter if at that moment maybe I'm telling a story about how my mom died, for instance. Like at that moment I just have to do everything and just go for you. Like, I will be there for you. So like, I guess what I'm trying to bring here is like yes and no now, in the sense of like, yeah, like I think the limits, they are not so defined. Like, I don't know if maybe it will just extend if I try to.
That's something I was thinking now is, okay, now I have better understanding of your intention in development. And then at the same time, like I feel like if we're going to really do this, we need hours and hours for development.
Yeah.
Right?
And actually, like,
we shouldn't be like rushing to,
No, because that's the most important. Because my feeling was, I don't know, it was for you. Like the moment I saw the performance after development time, I was like, oh wow, it makes so much sense. Right? Because like the movements of the objects and everything that was happening was connected, even when we were not the same space. And it makes sense because we are just building together. So we are basically giving. So that's what I mean. Like the border is not so clear. It's like there is so many metaphysic things that the fact that we are in the same space and just being there, I think it's just about care, because it just builds. I think it's a lot in this idea of invisible labor and caring. Like that it makes possible that the other concrete shapes are tangible. It carries love, I think.
Should we close here?
Sure.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like the video.